Why are you always tired? And why is your energy level, which used to let you do everything with great pleasure and get so many things done, now so low? Sex was more intense, orgasms were better, you even wanted to go to the gym after sex, and you had some hobbies and interests. And all of this is gradually losing its color. And many of you probably think that this is normal.
This is a terrible, horrifying, awful disease, not something normal.
Today I will tell you why this can happen in your body, what the main reasons for this can be, and how to fight it. And I will tell you about a concept that will allow you to use your body to its full potential, not just at 20 or 30% of its minimal function. The first thing we need to start with is the picture of a typical hospital visitor. When he comes in and says, "Doctor, I have some problems, I feel like something is wrong." So what happens as a result? The doctor says, "You need to get more sleep, you need to rest more." Or at best, "Well, let's run some tests." He looks at the results and says, "Everything is fine, you can go." And you come to the doctor with a problem that basically he hasn't solved for you. All he told you was that your test results are fine, but the problem hasn't gone anywhere. Actually, I'll tell you the main reason. For this, it's necessary to understand the concept of the health pyramid. Imagine, the health pyramid is a triangle, 3 corners, and when you go to the doctor, let's say it's an endocrinologist, or it's an andrologist, or it's a urologist, you come and try to solve all of this. On one side, what are the 3 sides? The top side is our biochemistry. That includes all our tests, all our hormones, including sex hormones, thyroid and adrenal glands. Everyone remembered? The second side of the triangle, the tip of the pyramid, is our brain. Everything that happens in our brain, emotions, mood, motivation, depression, remember, the second side is the brain, and let's call it the head. And the third side, what do you think? What is this? Our body. That is how much fat you have in your body, what kind of physical stress you experience, how much you sleep, and in what conditions you work. That is the body, the head, the biochemistry. What is the main problem and mistake of all doctors who treat health in a stereotypical standard way? When a person comes to him, for example, you work, let's say, as a taxi driver, and you say, "Doctor, I have pelvic congestion, my hemorrhoids have started to flare up and my legs have started to swell." He says, "Here is your medicine. To avoid congestion, just take it when you have a flare-up." Well, okay, but what about the root cause? Second example, a person comes in and says, "Doctor, I have problems with potency or problems with erection." He says, "Here is a pill, take it, your erection will be better." When you visit the doctor, they attempt to address all your issues solely through biochemistry. The principle is simple. Look, can your testosterone level, your hormones, your biochemistry depend on how overweight you are, how precise you are, whether you exercise or not, and so on and so on. So, what you do with your body affects, of course, the level of sex hormones. It definitely affects it. Now, let's look at it the other way around. And do the levels of your sex hormones and your entire biochemistry affect how you look? So, can a person with a lower level of testosterone be more overweight? So it turns out there's a two-way connection. Let's take the head, for example. What do you think if a person has depression, apathy, doesn't want to do anything? Do you think they'll go to the gym, be motivated, or work out? No, so the head affects the body. And now tell me, if a person is overweight, fat, or on the contrary, super skinny, does that affect how depressed they can be or how dissatisfied they can be with themselves? It turns out that the head works with our body in both directions, and the third side is our head. Let's say you broke up with your girlfriend, you were dumped, your wife cheated on you. What do you think? Will your sex hormone levels increase or decrease when you're in a depressive state? And what about your stress hormone levels? If your boss is nagging you every day at work, or if you work as a taxi driver and your clients are just driving you crazy, what will happen to those hormone levels? That's right, your stress hormones will go up and your sex hormones will go down. Your mind affects your hormones. Now tell me, if a person has low testosterone, low sex hormones, and low libido, does that affect their chances of developing depression? Many people are prescribed antidepressants without having their testosterone levels checked, even though low testosterone can be the underlying cause. The reverse also happens. That's why, friends, this pyramid works in all 3 directions. If a person originally had depression, it can affect both how they look, how they feel, and what's going on with their hormones. Biocheck. Check your health instantly. That is, when you come to the doctor, the main problem is that you are trying to solve your illness. Unfortunately, from only one side of the pyramid, and forgetting that your lifestyle and your psycho-emotional state also have an impact. And if you solve this problem from only one side, the amount of effort the doctor has to put in terms of supplements and medications will be much higher. Firstly, and secondly, this won't completely improve the situation. For instance, seeing a psychologist for erectile dysfunction, and the doctor thinks that at 25 years old, there can't be an erection problem related to low testosterone. For many doctors, it's a revelation that testosterone can drop even at 25 due to lack of sleep, overworking, or excessive training. And they try through psychoanalysis, through some motivational things, through uncovering childhood issues to solve or, well, improve your testosterone levels. Yes, this can improve your libido in some way. Or, for example, they say, look, yes, he's overweight. Yes, he eats everything. He doesn't do any sports. Right now, some guy is watching our video and he goes to the gym, he trains, and he puts in a huge, gigantic amount of effort to lose extra weight. He loses 4.4 pounds in 3-4 weeks, but gains it back in a week because he only addresses the physical aspect of the problem. He went to the gym and the trainer told him to eat less, do plenty of cardio, and train frequently to achieve his goals. But nobody addresses the problems with his mental state, which cause him to eat to cope, lack motivation, and have high cortisol levels. The problem with biochemistry remains unaddressed. The pyramid functions in 3 directions. Even if the cause was originally just one thing, this is the main concept you need to accept. That's precisely how all bodily processes function. Now let's discuss fatigue. Why are you constantly tired? I'm tired, boss. As you understand, this can depend on any side of the pyramid. Take my practice. I have quite a lot now. Less now I operate more, but before I used to consult a lot. That's several thousand people a year, and it's always more or less the same pathological conditions. And today we will figure out what fatigue really is. First, you need to understand what fatigue is. Many of you consider fatigue to be the feeling inside when you're just too lazy to get up, too lazy to go somewhere, too lazy to drag yourself out of bed in the morning. But in reality, fatigue has many faces. A drop in strength performance at the gym, sleep disturbances. You become more aggressive, or on the contrary, more sentimental. You tolerate stress worse, and you start snapping at those around you. You might still be going to the gym and everything seems fine there. You look great, but the fatigue of your nervous system accumulates. Biochemical fatigue also builds up more, your concentration gets worse, your memory decreases, you get less pleasure from things, and your creativity starts to suffer. I observe a lot of singers from our pop scene, and they have this, well, not all of them, not all. Some to try to find a way out through drugs, that's how they get stimulation, but in fact the reason is simply that they're just tired. The first step is to recognize this fatigue and understand that you have it, because in the classical sense, fatigue is just seen as some kind of laziness. But that's not true. It's a lack of satisfaction with life. This feeling of fullness, that's probably the best way to describe it. This feeling of fullness that you have something inside you, this life energy. Remember yourself at 15, 16, 17 years old. That's the peak of your fullness. And for some people, it lasts until 23, 25. Then we slowly start to eat ourselves up. Third, what can cause this to form? This can form. Now they'll tell you it's a sick thyroid gland, it's hypothyroidism. Yes, of course, it's low sex hormones, of course. And of course, I'll give you a list of what you need to check if you have these symptoms. It's important to recognize that this is a past event with a different root cause. And that's why probably before the dysfunction, a deficiency forms first. Our body has a great ability to adapt, and stress doesn't knock us off track right away. That's why we can endure work for a long time. Remember, there was a movie with Michael Douglas, Falling Down, where he lost his mind in a traffic jam. By that point, everything had gotten to him. He started shooting at people and even kidnapped his daughter. He was pushed to the edge. It's not like he just came in today and beat up a colleague with a bat out of the blue, considering all the rumors. The pressure mounts until a person breaks, crossing a line and engaging in terrible behaviors, falling into depression or turning to alcoholism. And that's why probably the first thing is deficiencies. What kind of deficiencies? While many may think of vitamins as the most important deficiency, the most common deficiency encountered, especially in big cities, is a deficiency. The first is sleep. It's first of all the quality of sleep, and secondly the quantity of sleep. The biggest problem is that you try, when you sleep little, to compensate for it with the quality of sleep. You use a sleep mask, you use earplugs, you put up blackout curtains. But you will never compensate for the lack of enough sleep with quality sleep, and vice versa, you will never compensate for it either. You can sleep for 9 hours, but if that's sleep and your house is right next to a runway, you'll never get enough rest. Both quantity and quality are important. It's better if both are not perfect, but at least about 80% of what they should be. This is the first deficiency. The second is a lack of physical activity. Your psycho-emotional state, the condition of your body, and the state of your endocrine system all depend on having the right amount of physical activity. There is also another side to this. Many people go to the gym excessively because there is such a thing as an addiction to physical training. Runners can't stop running. Without running regularly, they feel unwell. Running for extended periods leads to a runner's high. I had patients who ran 3 times a day because during their runs they experienced incredible euphoria. There are two sides, two situations. First, too much training, you wear yourself out. Second, too little training, you don't stimulate yourself enough. That's why various types of physical activity, not just workouts, are important. It could be swimming, it could be, for example, wrestling, tennis, but there should be a balance of 3. Actually, a deficiency of beneficial microbes. And I'm not urging you to take any supplements that improve your microflora, even though, damn, I do produce such supplements, but I'm not urging you to take them, because the foundation of healthy microflora is having enough proper foods in your diet. And no supplements will solve this problem. If you, say, bought a jar of something there, and at the same time from morning till night you only eat pastries or fried foods all the time. The most important thing is to consume the right amount of fiber and in general to have a proper attitude toward your gut. Chronic stress is the thundercloud syndrome. I call it that because I often see it in businessmen. He sits in my office, or, well, not necessarily a businessman, it could be a taxi driver. It's just a person who has some life problems, a mortgage, debts. He feels betrayed by a friend and believes his wife is unfaithful or doesn't love him. So he's constantly under stress, like his wife might find out about his mistress, someone might write to her, and this cloud is always hanging over him. He sits in my office and says his vacation has started, but I can see in his eyes that he's not really here. He's always somewhere else. It's like on his phone, there are always some apps running in the background that you can't see on the screen. But they're using up resources, so he's constantly using up his own resources. And that's why these people, they go somewhere, for example, to Kislovodsk to relax, or is that a cloud? It goes there with them. Why am I a businessman? At first I said it's because when you have your own business, even when you leave work, you keep staying at work and this chronic stress eats away at you. And that's why, of course, when you have the opportunity to work with this stress, you need to work on your relationships, your job, your hobbies, your interests. Stress doesn't just need to be eliminated, it needs to be balanced. The key to managing stress is finding equilibrium, rather than simply trying to get rid of it entirely. This negativity that you have must definitely be balanced with positivity. Positivity is the same sports, the same friends, the same good relationships, the same concerts and things like that. So you should imagine as much as possible that you have a glass and it's bitter. Don't just try not to add sugar to it, but try to fill it up with sugar. Because we live in a city and most of my subscribers also live in the city. You won't get away from this stress, unfortunately, and you will suffer from it. Drugs. And you probably thought I was talking about some addicts who are sitting with a syringe right now. Now here is your main drug. This is the main drug of our century. These are social networks, these are messengers and all the other stuff. Messengers take away our real communication, which cannot be replaced. A person is made in such a way that he needs live communication, electronic. All these screens make us not read books, and reading books, this, besides being very useful, is also cognitive work that helps you prevent dementia in the first place. Therefore, actually, gadgets are, of course, necessary. We can't get away from them and we need to use them, but try to minimize their use. I also record all these shorts, reels, and everything else. They actually wear out our nervous system a lot, especially everything related to our dopamine. The desire to quickly get information, to quickly get pleasure, to quickly see the ending of a 15 or 20-second video. That's why, of course, it's not very good. Nutritional imbalance, we all associate nutrition only with appearance, with how we look. We consider any food only in terms of protein, fat, carbohydrates, energy. In addition, it's also about how modern foods are saturated with things that we really need for life. In the chronic case, it's usually fatigue, a lack of certain vitamins, most often B9 and B12, but sometimes there are other deficiencies as well, though these are the most common. Often there's a big lack of iodine, especially in our regions. Iodine deficiency is something I see very, very often. Chronic stress often leads to magnesium deficiency. When someone is low on magnesium, they are also frequently lacking iodine. It's 50-50. Because you're in a higher resource state, you have a greater need for energy, and there's more load on the thyroid gland. And iron deficiency, yes, everyone thinks it's only about women, but no, it's not just about women. Unfortunately, it also affects men. We do encounter iron deficiency. And of course, if we move away from deficiency states, probably we lack positivity. And sunshine, I mentioned vitamins. Do you think that if you don't get out in the sun, you can just take vitamins from a bottle and get everything you need? So unfortunately, that's not possible. It's very important for us to have contact with the sun. That is, the effect of sunlight on your retina is very important. You've probably noticed when you go somewhere on vacation, say you're relaxing in Moscow and then you go somewhere like Turkey and there the sun is shining brightly. You can never restore your vitamin levels that quickly in your life, but at the same time, you want sex more, your sleep is better, your mood is better, and you start to feel better overall. That same vacation, just take it away, that's it, try it, you don't know, do you want to experiment? Flying to Turkey won't change anything except you'll avoid the sun. You won't get even half of what you could get from your vacation. If you look at any bottle of cola, it doesn't matter. Well, so what if there's sugar? It's not that harmful. So what if there's coloring? It's not that harmful. And how is the product even checked? Is there access to all of this in the form of food additives? They look at the toxic dose and think that here it's so minimal that it can basically be allowed. But no one tells you, and you yourself, and I sometimes forget about this, that there is a cumulative effect. Today I got harm from this drink, from these fries, from this stress, from this lack of sleep because I smoke. Also there are vapes. And if we take any one of you, you know perfectly well yourself where the harm comes from. You have to wake up to an alarm clock. Not many animals wake up to an alarm clock. They get up when they want or when there's a need. Most often you wake up to an alarm clock. And an example that this isn't very good is morning erections. Many of my patients don't have morning erections only when they wake up to an alarm clock. This is the concept of the health pyramid, and you should remember it for your whole life and never forget it. And when you come to the doctor, you come for a solution to only one side of this problem, but there are always two other sides. They are up to you. You want us to give you some kind of magic pill and do all the hard, essential work for you. Doctors, they treat, as Amusov said, diseases, but the patient must earn their own health. That's precisely why I run my social media and have many free projects. That's exactly why I have, for example, my Telegram channel where I share topics. What will help you maintain this concept? The health pyramid. Will help you do sports, will help you stay motivated. It's very important not to lose motivation. I'll leave a link to my Telegram channel below this video. You know, I spend my time, energy and effort, and I try to get all this across to you. And unfortunately, I perfectly understand that for 95% of the people who watch this video, none of this will get through. We are made to only understand conversation, the club. When we get hit on the back of the head, for example, some kind of pain pops up. Diabetes onset occurred amidst significant strain, stress, and chronic fatigue. That's when something finally gets through to us. Well, for men, it's like when you can't get it up, or you've gained 20 extra pounds, when it's just hard to even get up to your apartment. So those 5% who finally got it, even if it was through some negative experience, I'm really asking you to think about the other 95% who still haven't realized it yet. Because the critical day hasn't come yet. Share your stories in the comments under this video. What happened in your life that was a turning point during stress or some kind of exhaustion that made you realize you couldn't go on like that anymore and you started trying to fix your health? Because you, unfortunately, you know, as we say in the proverb, until the thunder strikes, in what form did your thunder strike? And what did you change in your life after that? And what did you achieve? Help motivate as many people as possible, because I read this myself and get motivated. And a lot of people, they're shy to write comments. They think these are just nice words, but maybe your comment will make a difference. Well, at least even if it changes just one person's life, it's worth spending 30 seconds of your time. If there's a really interesting story, I'll definitely share it on my big channel.